purpose is a tremendously powerful source of motivation. There may be exceptions, but the rarity of these exceptions proves the rule. What am I missing? Well, it's unlikely that my sample included many terrorists or serial killers, and it's true that I haven't interviewed political despots or mafia bosses. I guess you could argue that I'm overlooking a whole population of grit paragons whose goals are purely selfish, or worse, directed at harming others. On this point, I concede. Partly. In theory, you can be a misanthropic, misguided paragon of grit. Joseph Stalin and Adolf Hitler, for instance, were most certainly gritty. They also prove that the idea of purpose can be perverted. How many millions of innocent people have perished at the hands of demagogues whose stated intention was to contribute to the well-being of others? In other words, a genuinely positive, altruistic purpose is not an absolute requirement of grit. And I have to admit that yes, it is possible to be a gritty villain. But on the whole, I take the survey data I've gathered and what paragons of grit tell me in person at face value. So, while interest is crucial to sustaining passion over the long term, so too is the desire to connect with and help others. My guess is that if you take a moment to reflect on the times in your life when you've really been at your best, when you've risen to the challenges before you, finding strength to do what might have seemed impossible, you'll realize that the goals you achieved were connected in some way, shape, or form to the benefit of other people. In sum, there may be gritty villains in the world, but my research suggests there are many more gritty heroes. Fortunate indeed are those who have a top-level goal so consequential to the world that it imbues everything they do, no matter how small or tedious, with significance. Consider the parable of the bricklayers. 3 bricklayers are asked, "What are you doing?" The first says, "I am laying bricks." The second says, "I am building a church." And the third says, "I am building the house of God." The first bricklayer has a job. The second has a career. The third has a calling.